Sup guys, it's Dragon Ball for Life here today. I'm back with another video. In this video, I want to talk about the DCEU, specifically the movies. I'm going to be, I guess, sort of ranking them, but I'm going to be specifically talking about each individual film that they've released and what I think about it, how it did, what direction they went in, what they could have done better, and basically the future of them and all that stuff. And before I get into that, I do want to mention that I do have a second channel. It's a music channel. I basically react to music, and I'm going to be also doing some discussions on topics in music and music culture in general. So if you guys won't mind, can you guys go check that out and subscribe and watch my videos. Also, the link will be in the description down below if you guys want to go check it out directly. It's called Music Elitist. So yeah. With that out of the way, let's get into the topic at hand. Why am I talking about this? Well, simply, I'm talking about this due to the MCU. Now, the MCU versus DCU, that's been a fight that's became a thing once when the DC universe started to make their own cinematic universe. When it first started off, there was quite a bit of an argument between DC and Marvel fans on which cinematic universe is better and which one was going to be doing better, because at that time, Marvel already had started out and laying out their plans. They already did, Iron Man 1. They did the Hulk 2, which was just considered the Incredible Hulk. They did Avengers 1. They were setting up stuff and making all this cinematic universe. And DC kind of came a little bit later to the party. Not too much later, but a little bit later in 2013 with Man of Steel. But around that time, people were arguing which one's better. And as time passed, I felt like the MCU completely just overshadowed the DCU. And even though there were some fans, hanging on saying, no, the DCU isn't bad, the DCU can match up with it, I think even the most hardcore DC fans had to come to agreement that, yeah, maybe Marvel is better. But as time has passed, ever since Endgame has happened, and we've gotten to this whole Phase 4 thing, the MCU seems to be a little bit directionalist. I feel like a lot of people have lost a lot of the enjoyment that they had for the MCU. I know I definitely have. I went from watching every Marvel film I could, going to the movie theaters every time when they dropped out and stuff, and loving a lot of them. And sometimes when there was a new one that came out, I would say this is better than the last, this is the best, or whatever. But after a while, I also started to feel the, I guess you could say, superhero fatigue. I think it was Infinity War was the last Marvel movie that I saw that gave me any real serious excitement, because I was like, oh, okay, they're bringing Thanos. He's a big, comic book villain. He's a big villain to, just in general, but specifically to the, the Avengers. And I was so excited until I watched it and I saw what they did with the Incredible Hulk, and they kind of butchered him a little. But I was like, you know what? I'll give them a little bit of leeway. They might make it better. And then Endgame was coming out, and I was really hyped for it until I got the synopsis on what was going to happen. I'm not a person who's against spoilers. A lot of people don't like spoilers. Personally, I'm very impatient. So I didn't wait for the movie to come out to go see it. I actually saw people's reviews on it and then spoiler reviews. And the spoilers they were giving out, I was not really excited. The fact that they had a 5-year time skip, the fact that they had, time traveling, the fact that they had the Hulk becoming a nobody, the addition of Captain Marvel, which, let's be honest, I don't think anybody was dying for Captain Marvel, and people were really making fun of her when it happened. And then it was just like a whole mess. There was a lot of things to it that was, I didn't like. So after that, I think Infinity War was the last Marvel film where I really cared about the cinematic universe. I did watch No Way Home, the Spider-Man movie. I love that one. I think that is my favorite, and that is the most recent a Marvel film that I've seen, and the most recent one that I care about. But when I'm talking about the MCU as a whole, Infinity War is the last time I really gave a shit about the MCU's plans. Now I'm just like, I really don't care if they go to Phase 4, Phase 5, whatever. I really don't care about these phases. If there's a film that I like, I'll watch. But if there's a film I don't, I won't. And the reason, like I said, that this has to do with the DCEU, is due to the fact that since the MCU has gotten to the point where it seems to be getting stale and it's going in directions a lot of people are not very excited about or happy about, I feel like this is the perfect opportunity for DC to jump on the train and make something out of themselves, because right now, yes, people say they have a superhero fatigue, but I'm pretty sure they have more of a Marvel MCU fatigue, because whenever they complain about it, they're not complaining about DC, they're complaining about Marvel. And I can see, because Marvel has like over 20 films, they're going to 30, 40, they're getting ridiculously big. I mean, hell, they have more films than the Dragon Ball itself. Dragon Ball has over 20, so it's just ridiculous to me seeing the amount of films that are being produced from them. So I can see why people are getting sick and tired of it, but I think DC has a golden opportunity. Marvel is falling short. It went from being in the pinnacle and way above DC to now, decreasing. And as it's going down, DC has the perfect golden opportunity to go up and take advantage of it. But will they be able to take advantage of it? And I've seen people talk bad about the MCU, but I was like, what about the DCEU? What about it? So I want to do in this video, I want to talk about the DCEU as a whole, and I want to go through every movie from beginning to the end, and then talk about their future projects and where I think DC is now, especially compared to Marvel, because I think now it's a far more fair of a fight, because Marvel's popularity has gone significantly down and people aren't that invested into it as it used to be. So I'm going to be going through their films. Right now I'm going to be going, I have right here on my phone, so I'm going to be checking my phone a little bit. I'm going to be going through all the movies. First one, Man of Steel, came out in 2013, which is quite a while back ago. Okay. Now, this movie, I remember watching some of it. I didn't watch the whole thing. My brother was actually watching it. He was illegally... we were watching off an illegal website. We do that for all stuff, so it doesn't really matter. But, he was watching it, and I remember I was just like, you know what? I don't give a shit about Superman. At that time, I had more of a distaste for Superman. I have, chilled down on it, and I've lost that, I guess you say, hatred towards him. I've actually admired him more now, definitely since the fact that I'm watching Superman and Lois. But yeah, around that time, this was a year after the death battle, and I was not very happy about Superman, so I was like, nah, man, fuck Superman, I don't want to watch it. But now I'm going to go off of what I thought about it as a whole. I think this film is very polarizing for the fans, because you have some side that's saying this was a great movie, it was a classic, and not only that, it was very underrated. And then you have the other side saying this movie made no sense, it had bad direction, it was this and that. And it all comes down to how Zack Snyder handled it and the direction he went with it. Personally, for me, like I said, when it first came out, I was in a place where I didn't like Superman, so I didn't care. But now that I don't have a problem with him, and just think about it when I watched the film originally, the film was actually pretty good. It was enjoyable. They had really great action. I think it had some of the best action I've seen in any superhero film. It was very fast paced, very battle heavy, and they looked. Not only did Zod and Superman look powerful, but they looked very fast. They looked very clean and crisp. It looked like it was the closest thing to look like Dragon Ball. Whenever I see a movie, I wanted to emulate Dragon Ball and how they fight. Fast, powerful, fluid movements, especially when it comes to their flying. And no movie could really, superhero movie could really capture that as well as Man of Steel. I think Man of Steel did it the best. It had the best looking action out of any superhero movie. And I don't mean choreography. Obviously the choreography wasn't anything, but I mean the look of it as superpowered beings. They really looked like they were super powerful, and I really like that. So I like that. The story actually wasn't bad. Zod was a villain that you can understand and sympathize with, but I will still say that the film is not anything special either. It's not like Zod's plan was anything creative or special. It's not like the theme of the movie was anything crazy. It was just, oh, our homeworld died. I don't really have morals. I don't give a shit. I'm gonna terraform this a planet into a new Krypton. So you can see his motivation, but like I said, it was nothing too extreme anyway. I think the movie doesn't have much holding it. So it is fun, it is entertaining, it does have good action, but besides that, there isn't really much to it. I can see why some people might like it and some people might not. I think it's kind of a toss up in my opinion. It's semi decent. It's not too bad. It's not too good. So yeah, that's where I fall with this movie. I think this movie was actually a pretty good introduction. It's the best thing to do is start off with DC's Golden Boy, Superman. So they start off well. I think Man of Steel wasn't actually bad. I actually enjoyed it. And then the second movie was what was it called again? Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice came out in 2016. So this came out 3 years after that movie. So it took quite a time for this their second movie to drop out. And their first movie, like I said, it's kind of polarizing for some fans. Some like it, some don't. I can see either side. But when it comes to this one, it is one-sided. It is absolutely hated. Now there is some people that defend it, saying, well, the theatrical release was bad, but the director's edition added on more stuff to it and made it look better. And to be honest, I never watched the original theatrical release. I actually watched the director's cut. I watch all these films. Well, DC, not all the films, but majority of the films I did watch it on streaming services. Well, not streaming services, but illegally downloading it. So I didn't get the theatrical feel from the jump of there's a director's cut. But yeah, this movie, I watched the director's cut, the one that people said that was actually good and fit the puzzles in. And if I'm being honest, that is complete BS. I feel like this is a BS made by DC fans to be making an argument that this movie wasn't that bad, it was just the theatrical one. But I didn't watch the theatrical one. I watched the fucking director's cut one, and guess what? It was terrible. I mean, everything about it. It had some of the worst direction. First of all, you come from a Superman origin story or like a little bit minor origin story slash Zod movie. Okay, good, perfect. What's the next thing you should follow it up with? Maybe a Batman movie. It doesn't have to be an origin Batman movie, but at least a Batman movie where it showcases where this Batman in this universe is at and what a stage of his life, so we can see more of him. Make more other movies before you get to a movie where Batman and Superman fight. You could have had a movie where Batman, has to deal, he sees the repercussions of what Superman and his race did and see the fear in people and see the anger, and then you see that fear and anger is also presented in him, and then he built off of that. But they didn't. They went directly into, yep, you know what we're going to do for this movie? We're going to introduce Batman, we're going to introduce Wonder Woman, and we're going to introduce the rest of the Justice League member, but through a video package type of bullshit, which was the dumbest decision. But they just had these two guys come in. And I know somebody say, well, we know a lot about Batman, but I'm not talking about a specific origin story. I'm just talking about Batman in general, because let's be honest, this is a different Batman compared to the other ones. This is not the same Christian Bale Batman. It's a different one. So we don't know where he's at. And this one was far different. He was killing people. He was branding people with, his trademark that would get them killed. He was more extreme. He was out for Superman's head. He was a significantly different person, and people wanted to know about the backstory. But instead of giving us a solo film about Batman prior, they just jumped him into this movie and just made him say, yep, I hate Superman, I'm going to kill Superman. Even though Superman himself was fighting against them to, stop them from, specifically hurting humans. So it's like, it really makes no sense. Superman was literally defending the people. So that kind of doesn't really make sense in that argument. Also, one thing I want to say, I forgot to mention about the Man of Steel movie. The big other problem people had with Man of Steel was Superman killing Zod. People like, Superman doesn't kill, this is out of character. And Zack Snyder likes to have more of a darker theme with his superheroes. Not to the extent that others have, but he wants a little bit more of a darker theme. So in his mind, he's okay with having Superman kill people. And personally, for me, I'm more of on the side of characters that kill their enemies instead of just letting them live. I don't like that idea and trope. But it does not fit with Superman. That's not who Superman is. The fact that you did such a big departure of his character, it makes sense why people don't like it. It made no sense that he, killed Zod. I think is a good thing, but he killed him, and I just felt like it didn't make sense. But that's it. That's it for that one. Let's just go back to Dawn of Justice. And like I said, Dawn of Justice, they did bad with Batman. We don't know anything about Batman in this universe. Yes, we know a lot about Batman, but this universe obviously had some. He was later down in his career, and he's dealt with other stuff that we haven't seen. So like, yeah, we hadn't seen. So we needed a little bit more backstory, and then they interjected Wonder Woman too. For once again, they should have made a Wonder Woman film. And yes, they made a Wonder Woman film, but they made it well after this film. That just shows you the stupidity in their and this direct in their direction and their approach. If you're gonna introduce Wonder Woman, why don't you introduce her in her solo film first, then put her in this? Just randomly making her appear, people are gonna be like, "Who the hell is it?" Not saying who the hell is this character, but they want to know more about Wonder Woman. And I know a lot of you, for bigger comic book fans, we know who Wonder Woman is. But a lot of casuals don't know who Wonder Woman is as a character. They may have heard of her, they've seen her, they've seen what she's done sometimes, but they don't know her backstory, they don't know who she is. So a lot of the general audience was missing out, and they're like, okay, I guess we have Wonder Woman, but who is Wonder Woman? I've never really read the comics. I wanted to see the movie. And they introduced her right away before even giving us an explanation on who she is as a person and stuff. So I think they dropped the ball on that case. I think they were trying to move along a little too fast by having Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman having crossing over with each other. Wonder Woman was not needed for this film, except for the last part, which was also not needed. But this movie was supposed to be about Batman versus Superman, and then they added on Doomsday coming in, and that is a mess of its own. I'll get to that, but yeah, like I said, I think the problem was just introducing Batman right away and having him fight Superman. Introducing Wonder Woman without actually having a solo film. I think they should have made a couple of solo films for these characters before you jumped into, having them cross over. So they dropped the ball on that one. Definitely showing the rest of Justice League members through the video thing, that was stupid. Batman's reasonings for hating Superman was also dumb. Superman hasn't. First of all, like I said, Superman hasn't shown anything wrong. He's lived on Earth forever, and now he's now people know of him. So if he was a big threat, he would have done something a long time ago. Why is he doing now? Like, this is just stupid. And on top of that, he was the one fighting Zod and his people and nearly dying. He was risking his life to protect humans, and he still's like, yep, I don't think I can trust him. He risked his life. What does he have to do to prove to you? So that didn't really make much sense to me. And then obviously the whole Save Martha scene, that was dumb as shit. I hated that. That was dumb as hell. There's nothing really I have to touch upon that. Then we had Lex Luthor, played by Jesse Eisenberg or whatever his name is. That guy, no offense to him, but he's not Lex Luthor. That guy was more of a weak little loser. Lex Luthor is he's a cutthroat businessman who's also kind of racist to Superman. He's not racist to any race, but racist towards Kryptonians. And his mannerisms and demeanor is more serious and strict. Whereas in this film, he was more like jumpy and weird. They try to make him like a little like mentally unstable. And it was just not Lex Luthor to me. He did not portray Lex Luthor very well. Also, Lex Luthor in this movie was just kind of dumb. And then they had the Doomsday scene. That was so stupid. They went from Batman versus Superman to Doomsday just popping up out of nowhere. That was so dumb. Doomsday looked like a mix of the Ninja Turtles from the Michael Bay films with an ogre or a troll. It was stupid. It was ugly. He had no real point. He was only there for I think like 15 minutes of the film's runtime, and he was just there to have a reason to have Superman die off, supposedly, and then come back later on. It was just so dumb. Like, everything about that movie was a mess. And like I said, the director's cut might have made it a little bit better, but it's not going to save a film that is this badly damaged from the jump. So yeah, that movie didn't do too good, and people had to wait 3 years just for it to drop out. They tried to do too much in such a quick amount of time. Then, in the same year, Suicide Squad dropped out. Now, Suicide Squad, this movie also was another miss. The Man of Steel movie could be a hit or miss for some people. Dawn of Justice. Dawn of Justice. That movie, was obviously also a miss, even with the director's cut, which people try to argue. But this movie, 100% just a miss. I don't think anybody from any aisle will argue that this movie was actually good. Everybody hated it. It was dog shit. I remember some YouTubers saying that, oh, this film's actually good, and I thought it was going to be good. And then I watched it, and I was so bored. I think halfway through the film, I was trying my hardest not to sleep, and I wasn't even tired. It wasn't even late. I didn't even wake up early. I was just so fucking bored. I'm like, man, I would rather sleep. I would have more entertainment in that than watching this dog shit film. This film was just so stupid, so boring. And the guy who said that it was good, I just want to say, I will forever hate you, and I'll curse upon your name forever for saying that this movie is good. This movie is complete garbage. There's many problems with this film. One, majority of the characters in this film, they're lame ass characters nobody gives a shit about. Two, the whole concept of it is kind of dumb. Three, the main villains, being the Enchantress and her CGI brother, was a terrible decision to make. It was a shitty stuff. Everything about this film was just bad. It was boring. Them saying that we're a family after them working in one mission together and barely getting along. Now we're a family. The fuck? Like, how do you get that shit from there? The only thing I liked about this movie was specifically the what's the thing called? The bar scene where they were like talking with each other and you were getting to feel more of who they were as an individual. I think that was well done. But besides that, the rest of the film was trash. The ending was trash, the beginning was trash, the middle was trash. Everything about it was just dumb. It was bad directional. It had no direction. People didn't care about any of the characters except for Harley Quinn, Deadshot, and Rick Flags a little bit. And the thing that sucked, the thing that was funny is Deadshot is not in the second movie. Harley Quinn is there, but they put her too much into the DCEU that people got sick and tired of her. And Rick Flags was okay, and he basically dies in the other one. So, yeah. But, yeah, this film was just a letdown. It was a big disappointment. It was bad because you're trying to compete with the MCU. And even if they didn't want to outright say it, they were definitely trying to do it. That's why they were trying to truck along with these movies. And you had the first movie that was a hit or miss, the second movie was a flop, and now you dropped out a third movie that's a flop, and it's just bad. Also, it's crazy to me that they literally dropped this out the same year as Justice League. Like, I would have had another movie come out before this. Like, I'm pretty sure most people don't know about Suicide Squad or care about them. The comics aren't that popular for people to be yammering for a Suicide Squad movie. There's many other type of movies that they could have made, and from different characters. Hell, we didn't even have a Flash solo film. We don't even have a Flash solo film right now. We're supposed to be, but the whole shit with Ezra Miller, it's just a shit show. But yeah, that movie was trash. Everything about it was bad. Now, let's see what other film came after that. Wonder Woman. Now they have an origin story of Wonder Woman. Like I said, I think they should have done this prior to Batman v Superman. If you're going to introduce her, actually have a good introduction and then do it. Them introducing her backstory now is kind of stupid. But this film was a big success. It was a big W for DC. I watched it. I absolutely loved it. I think the only problem most people had with it was the third act with Ares. I think they could have done better with Ares. I think having a big boss battle like that is not bad. It's just the way you handle it. And they didn't handle it too well. But as a whole, the movie was really great. It was everybody loved it and stuff. They did really good with it, especially having a solo film with a female lead that people loved. Because let's be honest, there's a ton of movies by Hollywood where they have a female lead, and the female lead comes off as obnoxious, comes out as a big douchebag that nobody likes, like somebody that you say, "Go fuck yourself" to their face. But she was a very charming, very warming, very likable character. She was a character that you could love. So yeah, I think this film did a really great service for DC because DC was already struggling right off the jump. Not saying Man of Steel was bad, but Man of Steel wasn't good enough for a lot of people, and the start of it was shaky. So this was great. I just hope that it was before Dawn of Justice. It would have made the movie at least a little bit better. But this movie is great. There's nothing really I can say about it that going in depth with that besides just saying it's great. And also the same year, Justice League was dropped out, which is kind of a kick to the pants because now you've had an actual good DCEU film that people love, that's critically acclaimed. Nobody's saying anything bad about it. And then you drop Justice League, and everybody's now back on the what the fuck are you doing DC train. So yeah, it sucks also that it came out the same year, because now they're congratulating DC and then also shitting on DC in 1 year. It kind of sucks. But yeah, this movie was also bad. A lot of people complained because of Warner Bros. Putting their hand into it and, taking a lot of Zack Snyder stuff out. I think Zack Snyder, something happened with his daughter, I think a suicide attempt, or she died or something. It was something tragic. And Warner Bros. Was kind of ruthless, because not only he was obviously going to attend with his family, they not only fired the man, but they cut out all the shit he had and then replaced him with Josh Whedon, who wrote the first Avengers film, which the first Avengers film is still one of their best films today. Josh Whedon, he's a great director, but from some of the stuff people say, he seems to be kind of a tool. But yeah, this movie was also bad. It did terrible. I mean, I had the same problem with this movie as Dawn of Justice. I don't know why I keep on saying that wrong. Had, and that was the direction they went was kind of bad. And even if you go by Zack Snyder's one, it's still, I don't like the direction, because now we're having a bunch of these other characters come in together, work together, and this is their first introduction in this first film, and them coming together and coming across each other, I felt like they should have done solo films of each individual character before doing such a big film like this. And yes, I know the MCU, well, actually, the MCU did do that before they got to the Avengers. The MCU planned it out perfectly. First they did Iron Man, then they did the Incredible Hulk, then they did Thor, then they did, what's the thing called? They did, Captain America, and then they did the movie connecting them together to fight, and they had set up some stuff. These guys did not set up shit, and I get it, because at this point Marvel was way ahead of the curve. I mean, hell, they brought out Avengers, which was their hero team up movie, a year prior to their first movie in their own cinematic universe, so they felt like they had to do catch up, especially with all their planning they had. But here's the problem: they jumped the gun way too soon. If they just took some time to sit back, relax, not worry about what MCU is doing, and just say, hey, look, they're already ahead in the direction, so we can't worry about that. What we should do is try to work to build up our own cinematic universe by having solo individual films to introduce these characters, have connection cross-tied films. Then we can have a major film where they all work together against a major threat. But they didn't really do that. They just jumped right into it. The only origin story we had prior to this was Superman. Then we had Batman introduced in a fight against Superman and Wonder Woman, and these guys a little bit through their weird way they did it. Then we had in the same year, a Wonder Woman origin story, and now we have a film where we have multiple characters that we didn't see their backstory and multiple problems. First, Superman is dead in this film, so the guy that they started off with, he's already dead, so he's not going to be shown until the end of the movie. Then we have Batman once again still not having a solo film at this point, and he's just coming back and just connecting. And it didn't make much sense, because in Dawn of Justice he was like, Superman's too much of a threat, and now this time's like, Superman's our only hope. And I get it, he changed his mind, but to go that differently is crazy. Also, he went from murdering people in that movie and being kind of hardcore to this movie being a little more goofy and joking around and being lighthearted, and he didn't show to have any extreme violent tendencies of trying to kill somebody. So it's just like, how do you go from murdering criminals to now being like, oh, I'm like Batman from the comics now? It just didn't make sense to me. Wonder Woman, they finally got the introduction, but it was leading the same year, so I think they should have put that a little bit prior. We had Cyborg just jumping in. They had a little bit of his origin story, seeing a video of what happened to him. Lame way of doing it. They had Aquaman just coming in, with Batman just coming up to this little fisherman town and talking to him. Lame way of doing it. Ezra Miller's Flash, he just shows like, oh yeah, I found this footage and stuff, and then he tests him out with throwing the batarang and catches it. Also a lame way of introducing a character. The only character that at this point in this film that had their own solo film or had an actual explanation was Wonder Woman, to be honest. Everybody else did not. They just newly introduced them in this film, and they try to like connect them to making them work as a team, and it just didn't mesh very well. Wonder Woman and Batman working together made sense to me because they already worked prior in the other film to take down Doomsday, but these other people don't. So it's weird to try to make them work together as a team. Obviously, they try to have the whole dynamic where the team is fighting, they break up, but then they get back together, whatever. And then we had also the enemy Steppenwolf, which he's obviously he's like the mini boss, and Darkseid's obviously the main boss, and he's supposed to be like Thanos, obviously in comics and in the movie, but he was supposed to be what their Thanos is, but they're already introducing his plans and his interaction with the Justice League. And I was like, okay, they're going too fast, too ahead. They probably should have had somebody else be the main thread. Also, Steppenwolf, I know they needed him because he's one of Darkseid's, disciples that works with him. But let's be honest, he is kind of lame. Nobody knows who the fuck Steppenwolf is. You have to be a really hardcore fan to know who he is in the comics. And in this movie, he was just a big CGI monster that, was always talking to the mother boxes like it was his real mom, which was really weird. There was really nothing to him. He was a lame villain. Darkseid, I don't have a problem with Darkseid being a big threat, but they should have done like the MCU where he's shown later on. They shouldn't have shown him off too early. They showed their cards way too early on in their career, so they messed up with that. The movie itself was just boring. They had to bring back Superman to win, and when he comes back, it's like he easily wins. He dominates easily. Also, Superman coming back being evil a little bit made no sense, and then him going to being good. Okay, the movie as a whole was it was a disappointment. Everything about it was a disaster. It had the worst direction out of all the films, and it made people hate it. It made people complain about it, and whine about having a Zack Snyder cut to come out. And Zack Snyder's cut did come out, and people loved it, but it came out way after, and it's not like it didn't even matter anyway because they're not going to do anything with it. So we had that, and then we transitioned and moved on forward to Aquaman. Now, Aquaman came out a year after this, and Aquaman, once again, a big success. It was a great one. See what happens when you do these solo films? They do better than when you do these films where they have other people in it. And the reason they do better is because people are more invested into want to understand who they are as a person and what is this character. Once when they understand them, then they can feel connected to them when they get together. But they want to just do the getting together part. Once again, they did the same problem with him as they did with Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman, instead of giving an origin story and then having her come into the fray, they had her coming in right away and then do an origin story. Instead of having an origin story of Aquaman and showcasing who is Aquaman, they automatically started off with him in Justice League. If they did him in a solo movie before, I'm pretty sure Justice League would have done better and people would have loved him even more. They're like, oh man, I remember watching Aquaman movie. He was a great character in that. He had great this and that. And it came out in 2018. This movie, I remember also watching in a movie theater. Absolutely loved it. It was fun. It was enjoyable. The only thing that I didn't like about it was Amber Heard. Obviously, the whole debacle with her and Johnny Depp, I absolutely hate her. People were petitioning for her to be out of the second movie. Sadly, those assholes were too bitch made, and they just reduced her time to 10 minutes. And then after the whole case was shot, like, yep, now she's fired. Fuck you, dude. You should have done it before, you pussies. That shit pissed me off. But yeah, besides that, the movie was great. The movie was a good movie. It was a great introduction. He was fun. He was lovable. He was entertaining. He was a great character. The enemy being his brother, I don't think the fight between his brother was too amazing, but I do see where his brother was coming from. I think that was a cool dynamic to have, like, this guy who's like, being prejudiced against the humans and saying, hey, I'm a full-blooded, Atlantean, and he's a half-blood. Why is he taking over? He's younger than me, he's half-blood, and he hasn't spent time in this kingdom. He hasn't seen what we've gone through. He's on the top side a lot more, and I like that a lot. So this movie was really great. Great comeback after Justice League just shot itself. And then 2019, Shazam dropped out. Shazam, I also watched this in the movie theater. Shazam, it's one of those other movies that was claimed very well. Personally, for me, I didn't really care too much about it. I think it was good. I like the humor and stuff, but I think it was a little too kiddish. It was a little too silly for me. A lot of parts I didn't really like. Also, the villain of Shazam there, I didn't really know jack shit about him prior to this movie. I didn't know jack shit about him prior to this movie, so I didn't really care about him as a villain. Also, his plans and his reasoning was also nothing special. So that was kind of lame. Like I said, the jokes was too much. I didn't like it. It was too kiddish. I do like the part where they showed the, Billy Batson's, stuff about him being an orphan and trying to see his mom. And once when he saw his mom didn't show him the love that he was expecting. And I felt really bad for him. I was like, damn, that's fucked up. Because, yeah, I get it. You left him for adoption, but you showed him no love. And he was like still a kid, and he was trying to like connect with you. And she's like, no, I don't want to fucking even talk to you. And he's like, damn. So yeah, those parts were great, but I think the humor for me just didn't do it. For me personally, I did not like this film. I didn't hate it, but I didn't think it was that great. Also, the whole end credit scene. I don't know who the hell these characters are. Like I said, I know more about comic books than a lot of other people, but even I was just like, who the fuck is this? I was hoping for it to be like, a little trailer tease to Black Adam, and I was like, oh shit, Black Adam, because they were mentioning how The Rock's gonna be it, but nothing came from that. Yeah, this film by fans, they loved it. Personally, I did not like it. I thought it was kind of lame. But that doesn't matter. In the end of the day, it was a success, just like Aquaman. And then their next film that they dropped out was Birds of Prey 2020. Birds of Prey. I didn't actually watch this film, but from what I heard, it was dog shit. And from what I saw in the trailers, from what I heard from the story synopsis, it did sound like straight up dog shit. It was about a little girl swallowing a diamond or something, and Black Mask being very flamboyant, and obviously he's supposed to be gay, and they're like, I don't have a problem with that, but I feel like they were trying to go too much on being woke and be like, look how inclusive we are and stuff. And it's like, it's fine, but when you just focus on that, it becomes a problem. Also, they try to go with the whole female lead and stuff by having Margot Robbie as the top dog. Like I said, Margot Robbie, they did too much with her by making her in this film, having her and stuff. People liked her Suicide Squad. Personally, I didn't. Not because of Margot Robbie or anything she did. Personally, I just don't like Harley Quinn. I think she's an obnoxious, annoying character, and every time she talks, I want to punch her in the fucking throat. But yeah, I just don't like her character in general, so I was gonna like it anyway. And from what I heard, it was her whole journey was about trying to get an egg salad sandwich, which is dumb as shit. All this stuff was stupid. Also, the other females were like, treating with the respect and stuff, and they're like, oh, even though she's a criminal, and most of them are, vigilantes, and they would be trying to stop a criminal, they were expecting her to stay with them and work with them as a team, and then she just leaves and was like, what do you guys expect? She's a villain. You guys are literally working with the villain. The only reason she worked with you guys is because, she had to. She was put in a situation where she had to because of Black Mask. It's not because she was being a genuinely good person or whatever. So yeah, the movie was dog shit. From what I heard, their action and choreography looked bad too. They were trying to be very overly feminist. That's why I didn't watch them. Like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be just one of these feminist woke garbage like the Charlie's Angels remake. I was just like, you know what? I'm not here to watch a movie just shit and bash on men and stuff. If you want to have female leads, cool. Make them strong. Do whatever you want. But don't make them untouchable, and don't shit on men just because, oh, it's a woman and whatever. It's a woman's world. So yeah, I think that shit was corny, woke garbage, complete flop. And it's kind of crazy that DC did great with having Aquaman come out than Shazam, which, like I said, I personally didn't like Shazam, but it did great. But this Birds of Prey movie, everybody hated it. Once again, people were back on the same, path and agreement, saying, "Yep, this movie is dog shit." So that movie did bad. Then we had Wonder Woman 84 in the same year also, and this is crazy, man, because Wonder Woman, the first movie, did great. Everybody was dying to see what's going to have a second movie, and then the second movie came out, and everybody hated it. I also didn't watch it. I heard it was kind of stupid and boring. They had this whole Crystal MacGuffin thing where it can wish for anything, and the rules didn't really make much sense. I heard the main villain was just, some businessman and stuff, and then he created Cheetah, and she looked bad, and what I saw from the fights, the CGI looked awful and off-putting. Also, I just think it's kind of a stupid concept from the jump. Like, when we had the first one, it was going through, World War One, but it made sense. That was her origin story to coming to, the mainland in Earth, because she was just in Themyscira, which is an island separate from every place else, and now she's interacting with regular humans for once. And this movie, they set it in 84. I don't know why. Personally, I feel like they should have set it after in present day, whatever what she was doing in present day, fighting a new villain. The fact that they went back also in time to 1984, I felt was dumb. It made sense in the first film because in the comics she comes through World War One, but it was not necessary for her to be in 1984. Why was 1984 so special? I know there's a comic book about this, but it's like there's many comic books you could have chose. Why did you choose such an obscure one that had such a dumb concept? It was just so stupid. I wasn't excited for it because of that, but I didn't expect it to do this bad. So it's crazy how a director can go from making such a great film and then dropping the ball so heavily in the next one. So yeah, this one was a complete and utter disappointment. And also in the same year, dropped out the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League, which I watched with my brothers. We watched it in my older brother's house. It was 5 hours and 45 minutes long, I think, and it was dead ass long. I was straight up fucking long. But I watched all of it. Did I enjoy it? Yes, I liked it. I think it was far better than the original film. It was really good. I think Zack Snyder had a better direction in it, even though I still think bringing them all together is kind of a dumb idea. I do like the way he handled it. It was a little bit more of a backstory. They made Steppenwolf a lot better. He was a lot cooler. His design looked better. More coherent story. I do like that they showed the old gods fighting and stuff, and Darkseid trying to come in. Though they did make Darkseid look weak because his ass got beat, but then again, he's against multiple gods. But yeah, this movie was great, but there is still a problem with it. I think it's still far too long, and here's the thing: a movie can be long, but it has to have a reason to be long. If it's just long just to be long, then it's kind of stupid. And this film, I felt like it was long just to be long. It was not necessary to be this long. If you look at it, there's a lot of scenes that could have been cut out. There's a lot of dialogue stuff that didn't need to happen, like the whole women singing to Aquaman stuff. Like, what the fuck was that? The trying to get these individual guys to team up. They spent too much time on that. Steppenwolf's thing. He would talk to Darkseid, leave, do something, come back, talk to Darkseid. He would give him another speech and leave and come back. I was like, that was not necessary. Just give him the instructions once. Get his ass moving, and then have him go look for it. Why do you have to keep on doing this back and forth bullshit? So it was a lot of stuff that was not necessary. They could have cut out. I also do think that the fans have over-exaggerated. They're saying, this is a masterpiece, this is the best, this and that. Was it a good movie? Yes. Did I like it? Yes. Was it far better than the other one? Yes. Should they share it with this one? Yes. But it was way too long. They should have short it down. They could have cut out a lot of stuff that was not necessary. And it was not a masterpiece in my opinion. I think it was good and it was far better than the other. But I think people are just saying that because it's compared to the other, it's considered a masterpiece. But in general, still not. It was not necessary to be that long. I think he was just trying to be too artistic. Like, oh yeah, look, this is such a long, big film. It was just unnecessary to make it that big. But the film was great, and it was once again a great comeback for DC because of the whole Birds of Prey movie being dog shit. And then we had the Suicide Squad movie coming out. It's the Suicide Squad instead of just Suicide Squad. And the original one was ass, but this one had the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, I forgot what his name is, James Gunn, doing this one. And I was like, okay, the last one was trash, but I'm excited for this one. And I saw this one, and it was really good. Idris Elba was a great replacement for Will Smith. Will Smith did great in the first one, but him leaving did leave a bad mark. But with Idris Elba coming in, he's a great actor. He has a great voice. He has a great personality. And they did great with his character. And then having all these other characters. And the characters in this one were more likable. Peacemaker, which was played by John Cena. They had the Spotted guy. They had the Rat Girl. They had these characters that were more likable and enjoyable. And the ones that weren't really likable, they killed off right from the beginning. So I like that. It was cool. I also like how Peacemaker literally betrayed them. And I thought Peacemaker died in this film, but then we see the Peacemaker show, which he came back and he's like, they treated me like this. Like, dude, you legit killed Rip Hunter. But Rip in this movie was also better. I felt like Harley Quinn, once again, was not bad in this film, but she just randomly came in. She was doing some random shit, trying to date this fucking dictator, Hispanic dictator dude, and then killing him anyway. The movie was good. I like how they put Star in there. They had a giant kaiju fight. It was very cool. He was a very big threat. I do like the whole stuff with Amanda Waller showing how fucked up she is, showing how fucked up Peacemaker is when it comes to his sense of justice. Because even Rick Flag, he's a soldier, even he was like, nah, this is fucked up. I'm not letting the American just get away. Because of what they did with experimentations with these alien creatures and what they did to the people. And I like that. I like the way they did. I also like seeing Amanda Waller get hit in the back of the fucking head. She was such a bitch. And that makes her a great character. Making a character such unlikable that you're like, fuck this character, and you want to see them get hurt, is a great character. I forgot what the name of the lady is who plays her, but she's a really great actress. She's amazing. She did a perfect job with Amanda Waller's character. She made her very unlikable. And it's very funny because the people that attacked her are also in Peacemaker, because since they betrayed her, they kind of got demoted. And she sent her own sister and the team to, see the situation and, basically rat them out. But yeah, the movie was great. It was funny. It was entertaining. James Cameron did it again. James Gunn. He did it again. I know, for me, I don't think it was a perfect film, but that's the thing. Movies don't need to be perfect. They don't need to be masterpieces. They don't need to be, very well written. They just need to be fun and enjoyable and decently enough written to the point where people are like, oh, there's something to it, instead of just, oh, there's really nothing. They're just going for an entertainment factor. So this movie did really good. I think this was a great one. And surprisingly, this was the latest film out of the DCEU. Not the DC, because that's the Batman, but this is the latest film on that. Now I'll talk about the two solo films that they had that were outside of the DCEU. The Joker film and the Batman. The Joker film with Joaquin Phoenix, I loved it. I thought it was a great movie. I think it was amazing. I felt like a lot of the people that were scared, like, this is going to create violence, they're just hating, they're just being bitches and like, oh, this leans more conservative or whatever. And I do think that the conservatives did also hijack and like, oh, look this. So I don't like the political stuff that people try to put in it. And this movie wasn't even trying to get too political. It was just talking about mental problems and how people with mental problems are treated in society, and the mental institutes getting shut down because of taxes and stuff and whatever. So I like that. I think the movie was great. Once again, I don't think it was a masterpiece. And some people might think I'm very judgmental, but what I consider a masterpiece, something has to be very, very well written. Something has to be way beyond anything. Like Terminator 2. That's what I consider a masterpiece. Movies like that. Movies like Joker are great movies, but they're not masterpieces. I don't think there's a single, superhero film that I saw which I would consider a masterpiece, in my opinion. But it was a really great movie. I liked it. They went with a great direction, and the best part is it had no connection, so there's no real problem about it. Like, oh, they should have done this or that. Then we had the Batman. I already made a whole review on it. I'm not going to go too long on that. Personally, I think the Batman was good. Way too long. Could have short it down. There's some stuff that I didn't like. I don't like the whole Carmine Falcone stuff. They wasted too much time on him. The whole twist with him being the one having the politicians and the police under his pocket is a very generic story. The only thing they did creative with it was they tried to do twists and turns, but then they made it go the generic direction of, oh, the big mob boss owns everybody in town and has everybody in his pocket, even the politicians. I felt like that was lame. But the movie was good. People saying it's the best Batman movie, I don't agree with that. People saying it's a masterpiece, I also don't agree with that. I think the Joker was a lot better than Batman, to be honest. Joker was a lot more entertaining and more well written than Batman. But the Batman was still a good movie and still a big, dub for the DC franchise. But it was not a DCU film. So what do I think about the DCU films as a whole? And I'll also talk about their future films. Well, DCU as a whole, DC as a whole and DCU, because they're kind of separate because they have ones that are solo. I think their solo projects do better than their DCU, but even their DCU has some successful hits, but usually those successful hits have been solo films where they just had origin stories, and the only one that hasn't been that was the second Suicide Squad movie, which did really good. So let's go through the list again. Man of Steel, half and half. It was somewhat good and somewhat bad. Batman v Superman, terrible. Suicide Squad movie, terrible. Wonder Woman, amazing. Justice League, terrible. Aquaman, great. Shazam, I didn't personally like it, but but it was liked by a lot of people. Birds of Prey, trash. Wonder Woman 1984, trash. Zack Snyder's Justice League, great, but it wasn't as great as a lot of people say it is, and it could have been a lot shorter. A Suicide Squad movie, great. So if we're looking at it, I think the DCU is kind of 50-50 if I'm looking at it, because they have, like, let's say, one, two, three, four, five. They have 5 films in their DCU that I would consider trash, and then they have one, two, three, four, 6 movies in theirs that are actually good. Though I will say the Zack Snyder one is just the same movie, but with added stuff, a lot more added stuff. Yeah, I would say arguably 6. Man of Steel you can consider a bad movie. I don't consider it a bad movie, but you can consider an okay film. I would say consider an okay film. So they have 1 okay film, 5 bad movies, and 5 good movies that they have. So they don't have a horrible track record, but they have been lacking, obviously. And their 2 solo films did really well. I wouldn't rate it as high as others, but I can see why people would. I do think the Joker was a lot better than the Batman. So what do I think about where the DCU has gone? I think that the problem with DC is they make good decisions, but then they also make bad decisions. They make good steps forward, and then they make bad steps backward. So it's very inconsistent. Their consistency is their biggest problem. Because you can say, oh, they're doing good, they have a couple good films, and then they can drop out a couple of shit films. So I can see why people are scared. For me personally, if I'm going to watch these films, some of them might be bangers, but I'm feeling that a lot of them are not going to be good enough. They're not going to be living up to the hype. So that's the scary thing about the DCEU, is it's very directionless. They try to go too much with, kind of compete with Marvel. I think now it's better that they don't do it and just try not to do that. But when you look at his films itself, it doesn't sound too bad. But then when you think about the stuff outside of the films, they fired Henry Cavill. They fired Ben Affleck, and Ben Affleck does not want to come back. They're trying to make Black Superman, which, the whole race swap thing is another story, but a lot of people don't like that idea. They had add completely new characters for what's the thing called, the Suicide Squad, but it did good. What else? What was I thinking about? They have some good, like I said, some good stuff, but they're having problems with that. Ezra Miller, Ezra Miller having his whole legal stuff. They're trying to get rid of him. They try to cut out the movie. I don't even know what the hell's happening with this Flashpoint movie, because are they going to have him in there? Or are they going to just replace him? Or are they going to do that? Personally, I think it is a cursed movie. I think this is one of those films that they should just kill. They should just kill it off, because they're not going to have him back anyway. So yeah, Flash gone, Batman gone, Superman gone. All you have is Wonder Woman and Aquaman, and Wonder Woman is 1 for 1 right now with their film. Aquaman is good, but the second film is going to have Amber Heard, which people didn't like. They're going to get rid of the third movie. Okay, congratulations, you did something big. The third film, but it's like, we don't know. People might not boycott it because of her in it. And like I said, we thought Wonder Woman's second movie was going to be good, but it didn't do too good. So we don't know. I don't know if Aquaman 2 will be good. There's a chance that it will, but we don't know for sure. So yeah, the certainty of DC is very uncertain, which is crazy to say. But yeah, it's inconsistent. It's very uncertain, and that's the biggest problem that they have with it. So let's see their future films and what I think about it, and what I feel about it. So we have Black Adam, supposed to be coming out this year. I think this movie's going to do good. I absolutely love The Rock. He's a great actor. I know he's in too many movies. People are getting kind of tired of him. Understand it. But I still think he's a great actor. I think he's perfect for the role. He's been trained for years. People have been wanting it. So this is going to be great. It's going to be an anti-hero movie. Absolutely love that idea. So Black Adam film, excited for it. The Flash film, not really excited for, especially with the Ezra Miller stuff. I think it's a lost cause and they should just quit. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Once again, I do not like Amber Heard, so I'm going to boycott this movie, not because of anybody else, but because of her. Unless if it's super good, then I'll watch it, but I'll skip her parts 100%. I'm like, fuck it, I'm not watching it. I don't care if it ruins the movie, whatever. It's their fault for putting that bitch in there, leaving that bitch in there. So yeah, Aquaman movie, it's a half and half for me. Batgirl, don't give a shit about her, especially after what they did with the whole show. Shazam, Fury of the Gods, didn't really like the first one too much, but this one I'll give it a chance. Blue Beetle, coming out in 2023. absolutely, I'll try Blue Beetle out. I think besides Black Adam movie, this is the movie I'm most excited for. Why? There's a couple of reasons. One, the actor who's playing him, the actor who's playing, Ivan Hyman Reyes. Oh, guess who it is? The guy, kid who's playing Miguel and what's the thing called? And Cobra Kai, Sholo. Sholo is going to be playing him, so I'm excited for that. We've seen how he can act, how we've seen him as a person and what he is and stuff, and he does great in Cobra Kai. He's amazing in Cobra Kai. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do with Blue Beetle. Also, Blue Beetle is one of the most underrated superhero characters. I absolutely love him. He's cool. If you watch Young Justice Season 2. Don't watch Season 3 and 4. Those are trash. But Season 2, he was amazing in it. His story, his connection with him and the Reach and whatever. And the Scarabs, amazing. I love Blue Beetle. The direction they're going to go with it, which I think they might, is the Blue Beetle suit is more evil and trying to kill. And he's a good guy and he's trying to control it and trying to make it better and stuff. So he's going to have some struggle back and forth with it. And he's going to probably be fighting against other Scarab people, which is going to be amazing. So yeah, I'm excited for it because of Sholo playing him from Cobra Kai, which is going to be amazing, amazing casting. Blue Beetle is just a cool ass character. I love him in the suit, and I like the backstory. So they have great stuff there. But I think the DCU as a whole, it's still, I think, second place to Marvel. But Marvel right now has been falling very flat. They have still some good stuff, but not as good as the ones where they're getting more like DC, where they're more inconsistent. Inconsistent with their films, where they're sometimes hit or miss. But yeah, I think the DCU, I would say this. I don't want to be. Here's the thing. I don't want to be too optimistic, but I don't want to be too bashful either. I think it is going to be having some good stuff, but I think it's going to have a lot of trash. DCU is never going to be really the perfect movie making machine. It's going to have a lot of hits and a lot of misses. I think this franchise, the best I can explain the DCU is it's a 50-50 franchise. You're going to either like it or you're going to either hate it. There's no in between. There's going to either be, those are the possibilities. You're going to either drop out a good movie or a piece of shit. And we don't know when or which. So yeah, just try not to get your hopes up too much. But also don't try to be too harsh on it either. But yeah, just know that it's not going to be the way exactly you want it every time. Though I will say the direction that the situations that they're in now with all the people and stuff, it does look very bad. But they can bounce back from it if they do it strategically. If they do not handle this strategically with all the decisions that's been made, they might fail. So they should be still cautious. But yeah, I think the DCU is decent. And like I said, there's not that many films that they actually have. I thought they had a lot more. But they don't have that much. So we need to see more about what they are at, especially now that Marvel's at decline. So yeah. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this film. I know it was a little bit long-winded and stuff. I want to make sure, but I want to go through them as much as possible and explain this stuff. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and stay tuned for next time.